I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Monday. $710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show where you get both sides. What a weekend. Confirmed Khomeini and at least 48 Iranian leaders killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes. It's been talked about as the most successful lethal regime decapitation in modern military history. Could not have happened to a more deserving group of people. Breitbart picking up this quote from Trump. It's moving along. It's moving along rapidly. It's been this way for 47 years. It's moving along rapidly. Nobody can believe the success we're having. 48 leaders are gone in one shot, and it's moving along rapidly. The Israeli Defense Forces said that it had killed at least 40 key Iranian military commanders, including the chief of staff of the Iranian armed forces. According to the IDF, the former major general was eliminated within a minute of the strike on Khomeini's compound. And do you remember that little dope that was the president of Iran in like the 2000s?
Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Yeah, he's been killed, yeah.
He's gone too.
Yeah, but the current president is there. So he evidently has survived. So
what do you do in this?
Well, the thing for me is the only reason that's significant is because of where he sits in the leadership tree. And he is right under the Ayatollah. If you don't have someone that is right under the Ayatollah and you have someone further on down that pecking order, it's harder to establish a leadership command and control because there's more of a gap. So I'm curious to see what happens there. And like many of us here in America, I feel Trump is being a touch myopic because in his statement about this going on for 47 years, you can draw this back to more than 100 years. You can go over 120 years back to understand why the Iranians are upset over actions like this. This started back in 1901. And ignoring that long stretch of history and not understanding it is often a recipe for problems. I don't think we understood it fully in Iraq, and look what happened there. I don't think we understood it fully in Afghanistan, and look what happened there. And now we're just going with hopey changey stuff.
Well, right. Bill, Gino the cop texting in, are you willing to keep this evil regime in power with the hope they wouldn't get a nuke and blow Israel off the face of the earth?
Well, here's the actual question there, Gino the cop. What is the immediate threat? Outline that for me, because the action had to be taken this past weekend. And Gino the cop, the immediate threat is what? Because in June or July of last year, President Trump told us that he had obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. Not my words. That's in the title of the press release that came out of the White House after the attacks in Iran. In the title of the release, it says obliterate. Not me. That's in the White House. And if, Gino the cop, their capabilities have been obliterated, where's the immediate need and threat? I still don't see that anybody has established the immediacy of the threat that demanded military action now. We can be super big mad over them potentially getting a nuclear weapon. We can say they shouldn't. And yes, it's been going on for decades. But the need and necessity for an attack now, I don't see. And that's the germane question. Not just because of, it's about now. Why not?
All right, join the conversation, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, we're going to talk with Representative Jeff Crank, Congressman District 5. How does he see what happened over the weekend and Congress's role in all of this? Now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson, news and comment. Hey, good morning. Monday, March 2nd, 45 and cloudy in Denver, 42 in the Springs. Expecting highs in the lower 70s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning. For a new home heating and cooling system, contact your Lennox dealer. Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Our top story.
It took the 47th president, a fighter who always puts America first, to finally draw the line after 47 years of Iranian belligerence.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth last hour in a Pentagon presser. He says the U.S. is ending a one-sided war that has been waged by Iran for decades. He provided an update this morning on Operation Epic Fury on Iran over the weekend. The strikes killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and other Iranian leaders.
Iran's stubborn and self-evident nuclear pursuits, their targeting of global shipping lanes, and their swelling arsenal of ballistic missiles and killer drones are no longer tolerable risks.
Hegseth says this isn't Iraq.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars, stop. This is not Iraq. This is not endless. I was there for both. Our generation knows better, and so does this president.
Here's DJT last night.
These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death.
All 6 members on 3 Air Force jets are in stable condition after being shot down in a friendly fire incident in Kuwait. The F-15E Strike Eagles, flying in support of Operation Epic Fury, were shot down by Kuwaiti air defenses during active combat that included Iranian aircraft, ballistic missiles, and drones. An unmanned one-way attack drone was used by U.S. forces in combat for the first time during weekend strikes targeting Iran. U.S. Central Command says the low-cost unmanned combat attack system, or LUCAS, was deployed from the USS Santa Barbara in the Persian Gulf. Officials say the drones were used to strike command and control facilities, but did not disclose how many were launched. 3 U.S. Army soldiers will be awarded the Medal of Honor by the president today. One of the honorees, Master Sergeant Roderick Edmonds, will receive the military's highest award for actions while he was a prisoner of war in Germany in 1945. 23-year-old CU quarterback Dominic Ponder died early Sunday in a single-vehicle crash on baseline near Newland Court. Ponder lost control on a curve and crashed through a guardrail, hitting an electrical line before rolling down an embankment. His Tesla caught fire during the crash, and Ponder was pronounced dead at the scene. Children's Hospital Colorado warning families to review car seat safety after reporting a jump in crash-related emergency visits. Injury prevention specialist Amanda Abramczyk.
Caregivers might be anxious or excited to move their child to the next stage when they're big enough, but we really want to maximize the benefits of each stage before we move on to the next, so our kid is as safe as possible.
According to the hospital, there was a 7% increase in crash-related emergency visits from 2024 to 2025. State law now requires children to remain rear-facing once again until at least 2 years old and 20 pounds. Avalanche at the Kings tonight in the NHL. They drop the puck at 8:30. The Nuggets at the Jazz. They fall to the T-Wolves on Sunday, 117 to 108. 42 in the Springs, 45 in Denver. That's the latest. I'm Blake Olson. More of the Jeff and Bill Show ahead on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver, and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Your 710 KNUS forecast on this early Monday. Mostly cloudy this morning, temperatures in the upper 30s as you start the day. Partly sunny this afternoon, highs in the lower 60s. Some showers developing after midnight tonight, lows in the upper 30s. Chance for rain, maybe even a thunderstorm Tuesday, highs around 55. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Historic weekend confirmed. Khomeini and at least 48 Iranian leaders killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes. It's been talked about as one of the most successful and lethal regime decapitations in modern military history. And he sits on some powerful committees, the Subcommittee on Strategic Forces, the Subcommittee on Military Personnel, the Subcommittee on Cyber, Information Technologies, and Innovation. And he represents the good people of Colorado Springs in Congress. He joins us now to give us his perspective. Representative Jeff Crank. Good morning, Representative. Thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Bill. How are you guys today?
Wow, a lot to reflect on. Are we in another Iraqi boondoggle? Is this a great moment of freedom? What's your take on all this?
Well, you know, I obviously no one wants to see it come to this, and it is obviously very sad that we've already lost some service members. But you know, we have to make sure that their sacrifice isn't in vain, and that you know, what we see this through, that we make this something that lasts for both the Middle East and for the United States. And look, I'm supportive of this operation. I think the president, you know, didn't have a choice. You know, this has been coming for many, many years. I see intelligence on the committees that I sit on that I think if most people saw, they would see and understand the threat. This is a regime that has continued to try and exterminate the nation of Israel, but also, you know, they chant death to America too. And they are trying, you know, have not, since Operation Midnight Hammer, they have not given up their designs on their nuclear ambitions, their design on having nuclear capability, and the ability to deliver it not only to other countries and our bases in the Middle East, but also ultimately to the United States. And I think that that is the evil that this president had to confront. It's the same evil, by the way, that many other presidents since 1979 have had to confront. And I just think this president, you know, is doing it in a way that he really just didn't have a choice. And so I'm going to be supportive of him and supportive of our men and women in the military as they move forward. I wish there would have been a resolution authorizing it beforehand, and I think we could have gotten the votes here. I think there are Democrats who would support this president, but we are where we are, and I'm going to be supportive of him.
That's Representative Jeff Crank. That was going to be my next question to you. Your colleague, Representative Jason Crow, saying that there should have been a vote. In fact, he's calling for a vote, folks to come back to Congress, get that vote done, saying that Trump doesn't understand endless wars. He's not sending his family. It's going to be the rest of Americans that have to fight this. What do you think of Jason Crow's analysis on this?
Well, first of all, Jason Crow knows that he was elected president of the United States, and our Constitution makes him the commander-in-chief, not Jason Crow and not Jeff Crank. And so he ought to give this president the same deference that he gave to Barack Obama and that he gave to Joe Biden when he didn't ask them to come for that resolution of support. During Barack Obama's time, he attacked Syria without coming to Congress and asking for authorization. So, I try to be consistent in this. I was not in Congress during the Obama years when President Obama fired over 300 drone strikes at terrorists, and in fact even killed an American citizen with one of those drone strikes. But I try to give wide latitude to presidents because I love my country enough to do that. The Constitution, I won't say that it's vague, but our founders purposely set up the friction in the system. They provided in Article 1 the right of Congress to declare war, and that's something that they gave to Congress. But they also in Article 2 said that the President of the United States is the commander-in-chief. And going back to Thomas Jefferson, the president has used that authority without Congress on numerous occasions. There was no formal declaration of war during the First Barbary War in 1801 when Thomas Jefferson was president of the United States. There was no formal declaration of war when James Madison sent forces in the War of 1812. Congress did eventually come around and declare war, much like we can do now in this situation. So this is not anything new. It's the tug of the Constitution, right? It's that friction that our founders set up in the Constitution. It's a good thing. It's a healthy thing. We ought to embrace it. But I am disappointed when I hear people like Jason Crow who say this only because the president is President Trump. And I didn't say this when Barack Obama was commander-in-chief. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to stand and support our men and women who are on the ground, who are deployed. But and I'm going to support the commander-in-chief's decision here.
That's Representative Jeff Crank. He sits on the House Committee of Armed Services, Subcommittee on Strategic Forces. And as you heard, he has access and briefings that we can only imagine he has. But give us a sense of how long you think this is going to last. President Trump saying that this could go 4 or 5 weeks. How robust is the Iranian response? How much of a challenge is this going to be to the United States and Israel?
Well, I think the president was pretty clear, and the Secretary of War was clear this morning in his briefing that it will last as long as it takes, that they aren't going to put a timeline on it. I think the president did say, it could go 4 weeks. It could. It could go 6 weeks. It could go 8 weeks. Who knows how long it will go? It will go until we've met our objectives. And that's important to say. But I think the American people shouldn't expect this to be over by next weekend. This was a country that has spent decades pursuing, a delivery capability on missiles and aircraft and drones and other things. And they have some capability in the nuclear area that we've got to make sure that we not only degrade but we eliminate. And so there's a lot to be done here. I think you'll see as time goes on, and you've already seen it, a degradation of their ability to respond. They're cut off, and their units are now sort of indiscriminately firing without being told by their command and control structure to respond or to fire. So they're just firing sort of, commanders in the field are are using what they have to do that. And that's the sign of a broken military. It will take time, but over time they will degrade more, and we'll see them become less and less effective over time. The real end game here is that the Iranian people will have to rise up, and they will have to do what so many other countries have done around the world, and that's to regain their own freedom, and to put people in control of their country that respect human rights, that respect personal freedoms and liberties and things like that. So we're giving them that opportunity by degrading the military, by degrading their missile capability, their delivery capability, and their nuclear capability.
That's Congressman Jeff Crank joining Jeff and Bill live from District 5. You talked about Pete Hegseth saying that this will take as long, as long as it will take. Can you help us define what it is? When the Secretary of Defense talks about this will last as long as it takes, what is it? What are our defined goals as you're hearing them?
Well, I think they've stated that the goal is, one, to reduce the missile capability. I mean, Iran has thousands of missiles, and they have actually grown in their missile capability since Operation Midnight Hammer, where the Israelis took out a lot of that missile capability. They've grown, they've produced more, and they've imported more missiles, and so they have increased that capability. So we need to degrade that to a point that it is no longer a threat. We need to also degrade their nuclear ambitions, and I hopefully eliminate the nuclear capability that they have developed over time. And even since Midnight Hammer, they have been able to bring some of that capability back. So those are really, I think, the U.S. stated goals. It was very clear the moment that this happened, it was not the United States that went after the regime. It was Israel itself that went after cutting off the command and control structure, going after the Ayatollah and others in that government. That's something that obviously is something that the Israelis did. It's not, I don't think, something that we are saying is one of our stated goals. But obviously, it's a good side effect, and that's going to have to happen. So to me, the stated goals are to reduce that threat, so that defang the military in the capability to deliver and project warheads and drones and other things that are capable of hitting our assets in the region, as well as their nuclear capability. Those are the U.S. goals. I think, obviously it would be a very good side effect is if this regime, which is now, I think, decapitated, were replaced. But that's going to be up to the Iranian people. I don't think that can be something that the U.S. says we're going to stay until there's a new regime. This is giving them the opportunity to do that. Hopefully the Iranian people take that opportunity.
I appreciate that answer, Congressman Crank. I've got a question. It's a two-part question. First is June or July of last year, after Operation Midnight Hammer, the White House released had a press release that said we had obliterated their nuclear program and capabilities. So I'm kind of curious about where the threat then exists if we obliterated them last year. And second, I appreciate what you're talking about on their missiles and the ability to hit targets inside of that region, but what was preventing them from launching all of those missiles last week? What I'm looking for is the immediacy of action. What is the predicate that demands action now?
Well, on the missile piece, number one, they were every day, every week, they were getting more missiles in their stockpile, and to the point where they could overwhelm our air defense capabilities, right? That's the one thing people have seen Iron Dome and the greatness of what it does. It saved a lot of lives in Israel. It saved a lot of lives of our soldiers deployed around the region as well. But it can be overwhelmed. And that's what the Iranians learned from Operation Midnight Hammer, was that, look, if we have so many and we can use them all at once, we can overwhelm them and inflict a lot of damage either on U.S. military bases or on the state of Israel. So the idea here was to strike and to take away that capability, one, before it got to be stronger. You know, a month from now, it would be stronger. 2 months from now, it would be stronger than that because they were building that capability. So this was a strike, a preemptive strike, if you will, to try and eliminate that threat. And you saw them go in very quickly and hit those targets as quickly as they could and take out the radar sites, cyber attacks, and other things that blinded them so that they couldn't launch a lot of that capability. And now we have to degrade it. And so that was really the reason for acting now rather than a month from now or 2 months from now.
It's Representative Jeff Crank. He serves on the House Committee on Armed Services, represents the great people of Colorado Springs. You've been very generous with your time. One final question. This is one from a listener here. Trump said, that the Iranian troops are supposed to surrender, hand over their weapons. If we don't have U.S. troops on the ground, who are they supposed to surrender to?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there are, I believe, folks there on the ground that aren't U.S. troops, but there are folks that are doing things on the ground very similar probably to what we saw in Venezuela. We didn't have troops on the ground in Venezuela, but folks were able to surrender and to lay down their weapons and not fight. I mean, I think the choice is pretty clear. The president's made it clear. You can fight and continue to resist, and we will hunt you down and we will kill you if you're part of this regime. But if you give up and you stop doing that, and you turn to the other side, and there are channels to do that, both diplomatic and operational channels on the ground that you can do that with. If you do that, you will survive and you have a chance to be around. And I think that's what happened in Venezuela, and that was a very successful operation. I think the president's idea is that same sort of thing can happen here.
Representative Jeff Crank, you can follow him for all the latest at Rep. Jeff Crank on x.com/Rep. Jeff Crank. He sits on a very powerful, influential committee, the House Committee on Armed Services. And to join us just 48 hours after the attack took place in Iran to give us an update is a real honor to our listeners. Thank you so much, Representative.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Thank you both. You bet. My pleasure. And let's continue to pray for the safe homecoming of all of our men and women who are fighting for us over there.
Agree entirely with that. Representative Jeff Crank, thank you so much. All right, join the conversation. Would love to hear from you. What do you think of what Representative Crank just said? Do you believe that America has a good plan moving forward with Iran? Do you believe we put ourselves into another Iraqi quagmire? This is where you hear both sides. Jump in, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's talk Guy Reese, folks. My wife and I had been wanting to update our home for a while because our blinds were terrible. To be honest with you, we bought cheap ones online. They broke. They only went halfway up on one side. So we went to Guy Reese in Parker. They're all over the Denver metro area. We went to the one in Parker, and let me tell you, it was an absolutely fantastic experience because we got to sit down with a professional designer who showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters, and there's so many options out there, folks. I was a little overwhelmed at first. I've never worked with a professional designer because I just decided to wander the big box stores 8 times and make multiple trips and make my life so confusing. But to be able to sit down with a professional designer, she helped us through everything and helped us find the perfect option to enhance the look and functionality of our home. So whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh look, Guy Reese has the solutions for you. We got blinds that go up and down and are like motorized. They're amazing. There's a little button on our wall, and you can like program them for different blinds in the house. It's awesome. Their designers are the experts. They can help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. So here's the best part. They will come to your home and offer a personalized in-home consultation. That means they bring paint samples, design samples. You can see how it's all going to look in your home. They come directly to you. Get the same expert advice we got in our home in yours. And do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit GuyReese.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUI. GYRYS.com. Go see the great people at Gyrie's. You'll be sure to thank me. More of the Jeff and Bill Show to come, 710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 60, along with FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. We're talking to Jim in Denver next. We've got a line open for you. Give us a call. What do you think? Do you think this is a justified attack, or we're just going back to that neocon stuff we heard a couple decades ago? What do you think? This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
$710 KNUS in Denver.
And proudly waking up with AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show. Israel is now attacking Hezbollah in Lebanon. We're talking about the attack that took place in Iran over the weekend. Khomeini plus 40 plus other Iranian leaders killed in the attacks. Is this a moment of celebration, of freedom and liberty being brought to the Middle East, or another Iraqi quagmire? Jim, Denver. Good morning, Jim. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I think this is one hell of a chess game. You consider that Saudi Arabia is 95% Sunni, and their lifelong sworn enemy before all others is the Shias on the other side of that Persian Gulf. And we've just partnered with Saudi Arabia over the last 30 years, including boots on the ground, which inflamed the other Muslim, the dead Osama bin Laden. I think right now, this chess game, if bin Laden were still alive and if Dick Cheney were still alive, they would both be applauding Donald Trump's actions in taking out the sworn enemy of the, 17 out of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. Is that correct?
So you think the United States is getting pulled into this Islamic feud?
Thanks. This is a long-term foot in the region after we just acted like we were going to step out and take care of our own nation because we care about the people of our nation. This is something that has the potential to make our defense contractors and those defense contractors in southern Colorado, where the representative who you just had on, this might enable them to pull profits out of the thin air.
Jim,
like, you know what? Here's one thing I want to say.
Yeah.
So the one thing I want to say is, the CIA after 9/11, they actually called 9/11 a gift, and they could milk that cash cow for decades to come. And I don't believe I'm wrong there. I've read it in multiple places.
Yeah, so, Jim, you're saying that this is a Sunni-Shia feud and the United States is getting pulled into it. What do you do with Israel?
Israel's our forward military base. They are the second enemy of Saudi Arabia, and they are the second enemy of Iran as well. Here's what I think might have just happened, and we don't realize it, and we don't care because we're too short-sighted. So if they killed all the leaders or most of the leaders in that compound, except for the one guy that is likely to be the future leader of Iran, and they don't have the world's biggest revolution to revolt against their religion, the Shia religion, then this person that survived this bombing attack, who's about to be their leader, is now a wartime president. He outlived the great infidels that tried to destroy their religion, and I think their religion might come more to the forefront than it has been in the last 50 years.
Interesting point. Jim Denver, appreciate the call.
And
thanks so much.
I appreciate that, Jim. What I'm really worried about is a statement that was made over the weekend by Lindsey Graham, a individual who I'm never surprised with the stupidity that oftentimes falls out of his face hole. This is what he did. The weekend, he said that Saudi Arabia has some ideas about who should be the next Iranian leadership.
I'm sure they do.
I know, but that's going to land like a lead balloon in that. And the idea that we would be talking to the Saudis about who the Saudis want put in as leadership in Iran. Yeah, to try to sell that one. Sure.
By the way,
oh my God.
sirens just being sounded now in Tel Aviv. We were talking to a rabbi from Jerusalem in the previous hour, and now look, the foreign correspondents are all putting on their helmets. Good night. He was telling us about how the rabbi has to take his family down to the shelters. They sleep down there at night. All right, let's go to Dwayne Cutter. Dwayne, you're actually in Qatar?
Yeah, and hang on, Mike. We'll get you in a second. But Dwayne, what's up? You're in Qatar, really?
Well, the race car people and everything, he was like, I need to talk to you about this. I said, there's space time. We don't need. He goes, no, come on over. I want to. Anyway, so I got on a flight last week, and now I'm stuck.
Wow! Now
have they shut down all the flights with these rocket attacks?
There's no airspace. Everything is done. It's like 6:45 in the morning. I don't know. Don't have my clock in front of me, or in the afternoon. Excuse me. So yeah, we're 10 hours ahead of you guys.
Now,
Dwayne, right now there's no.
Are you nervous? Tell me what you're feeling like, what you're seeing on the streets, all that stuff.
No, I can't leave the compound. If I have my American passport, they say I might disappear into little itty-bitty pieces. No, I'm not nervous at all. I'm terrified. All they wanted to do was just come over, take the bus, tell them what we were doing with the race car, life is good, and get the heck out of here. That didn't happen.
I mean, what are you terrified of? Getting hit by a rocket? Are the Qataris angry? Are you getting a sense that they're angry about what the U.S. and Israel did?
Most people are pretty cool. I mean, my employer, he went to Oxford and all these English schools and everything else, so he's not too big on this entire thing. His staff are pretty nice people. Most of them have been westernized. But outside the compound, I'm not sure. We do hear air raid sirens. We do see things happening here and there. And there's, you'll all of a sudden hear blast of machine gun fire going on. But overall, I want my teddy bear and I want to go home.
Oh, now, Dwayne, have you seen anything, local news, et cetera? I'm not talking about being able to translate the language, but I'm just talking about what, as far as pictures that you've seen either on local news or it's being broadcast, just to kind of give us an impression of how it's in Qatar, what their view and how their media is portraying this. Just the pictures. What impression are you getting?
We're getting a positive view. You'll see the people dancing in the streets. There are people holding pictures of Trump and saying, "Thank you, Trump," and everything. Then there's also another one that just sits there and says that the great devil has come and destroyed our country and everything else. Politically, where is this going to go? I don't know. Right now, everything is spinning around here so fast. I'm more afraid of what's going to happen in the United States cities sleeper cells than I am anything that's happening over here in a lot of ways, because there's going to be a lot of people that are very, what's the word I want to look for here properly? There's going to be people that are a lot more enthusiastic about what happened to their leader and what it's going to do. But like I say, right now the boss is nice. He's like, stay in the compound, have anything you want, and everything else, and we'll get you home as soon as they clear the airspace. But seeing all this right now here, not something I planned on doing, and I'm hoping to, get out of here as quick as we can.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to be in this part of the history.
Front row seat. We're getting reports that Iran has struck Qatar's LNG output, shaking global energy markets. It says their liquefied natural gas development operations in Qatar, those have been struck. So, goodness. And if you're not sure of the map, Qatar sits across the Persian Gulf from Iran, right up against Saudi Arabia. So it's coming across the Persian Gulf, hitting Qatar. And Dwayne, stay safe, my friend. Keep us updated. Text into the show. Let us know what you're seeing out there. Send us any pictures. It's amazing that we have listeners that are experiencing this really front row. Stay safe, buddy.
Yeah, stay safe.
Well, I'll do what I can. This is like $28 a second for me to call you guys from over here. So, but we'll do what we can.
We love you, brother.
Thank
we
you.
do.
Thank
you,
Thank
Dwayne.
you. Be
That's
safe.
Dwayne from Divide giving us a call. Front row seat. Good night. All right, let's go to Mike Littleton. Good morning, Mike. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, thanks for holding, man. What's on your mind, Mike?
Well, you're welcome. I want to come at this from a constitutional viewpoint. This is year 250 for us, for our founding of our nation, and we need a declaration of war. It's plainly in the Constitution. I realize all the past precedent that's been occurring since probably the Korean War, where these our president gets us into these wars without a declaration. We have committed a tremendous amount of blood and treasure in the operations underway. The case needs to be made to we the people that govern this country, and let's see if the support is there to continue this. If it is such an emergency, if we have to go to war, make the case, show us, and then we'll agree. But so I want to say we need a vote in Congress quickly.
Now, Mike, here's the thing, and I'm going to agree with you and also disagree with you, but maybe for different reasons. So give me a sec here, and we'll kind of go back and forth. Now, I agree with you that I think we do need a declaration of war, but I disagree with you saying that it is needed. You are 110%, my friend, as far as outlining delineation of powers and what's called for in the Constitution. So if we were going to go to court over it, you absolutely 110% would win on this one. But I would say that Congress has sort of somewhat abdicated its ability to always declare war, as you laid out as far as the history. Here's where I think your point is completely and totally germane. And even though I feel it's performative, there should be some sort of a declaration of war. And here's where I'll surprise somebody. I think in Congress, it should be an affirmative. And this is why. It sounds very strange. I'm not in favor, not in favor of going to war with Iran. But if we want more of our allies and our international partners to get on board with what comes after, now that we've removed the leadership, how we put Iran back together and how that functions is incredibly important. And I personally feel that if the U.S. declares or has a war powers resolution authorizing Donald Trump to do this, it shows the rest of the world that the American people support this action, and it doesn't give the appearance as if Trump's going rogue. I think that gives the ability for Germany, for England, for France and Spain to get in on some of the reconstruction or back end of this because they view the American people for being a part of it. Now, tell me again, Mike, do you think that has any merit, or am I totally off base at 8:45 in the morning on a Monday? What's your feelings?
Well, as far as you think it needs to be affirmatively approved by Congress, right?
Even though I disagree with it, even though I don't want to, but the only reason I think it should be affirmative is because I want the allies to get the impression that the American people support it so that we can get their help. That's that's my play. That's the only reason I'm playing that card, my friend. It's the only reason in the game I'm putting that card of war power resolutions on the table, and it's the only reason I want it affirmed. Other than that, I disagree with it. But what do you think? Is it a bad strategy, good strategy? Are we playing Uno? Or are we doing a reverse card?
I don't want to dodge this, but so I have three sons. I think Jeff has a few. You do. Yep. Trump. We need to have approval of our people. Period. Whether it's beneficial to our allies and strategy down the road, if we're going to take our country and commit our blood and our treasure, and we've now lost people, and we're going to lose more, that needs to be affirmed by a strong percentage of the American people. And, we can play politics with this, but this is serious stuff. And I'm not so sure I would commit my sons or grandsons to this operation. If the threat is that great and Mr. Crank has some kind of super intelligence that he's seen behind the scenes, bring it forth, show us, and make the case. So I'm kind of going around your question there. Again, we don't commit our people to this lightly. We've done it in the past. We've probably lost 100,000 people since Vietnam, Korea, Iraq. How many trillions, which is irrelevant, but we're broke. We don't have the money for this also. So I like I said, this is year 250. We have strayed. We have twisted the Constitution. It's now in a pretzel. We need to maybe start untwisting it and go back to our founding principles.
Mike Littleton, I appreciate it.
I like what you said about us being in debt. I think that is a plank that Jeff and I have not gotten to, and I appreciate you bringing that up. The idea that we are so concerned about debt and we are so concerned about excessive spending by the government, all the stuff we're shooting through the air, all the bombs we're dropping have to be replaced. That's an external spend. So all of this stuff has a balance that comes due later on.
Feel free to give us a call and join the conversation, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line, 720-819-5115. More of the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS in Denver.
And now on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. There go the phones. Got to talk to them. Remember, this is where we hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Jam-packed phone lines here at 710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, along with FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, you get both sides on the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking all things Iran today, the attacks that took place over the weekend. 49 leaders of Iran taken out by a joint U.S.-Israeli strike. This thing could go on for weeks, if not months. Are we back in another Iraqi boondoggle? Is this a great moment of freedom? Donald Trump being a strong leader, saying we're no longer going to allow these terrible countries to continue to kill Americans, to kill Israelis, to be a threat to peace on the globe. What do you think? Let's go to the phone lines. Marcus Aurora. Good morning, Marcus. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. You know, I'm glad this has happened. Being a vet and everything, I thought about something the last caller said. My kids wouldn't fight that war. Well, these days, there's so many volunteers that would take that on. I wouldn't even worry about that. But Iran's been a pain in our butt for so many years. And, you know, remember that song by Vance and the Violence, Iran?
It's Vince Vance and the Valiants, dropped 1980 and is a remake of Barbara Ann from the Beach Boys. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Went to that this weekend.
Don't you like it?
Here's the thing.
I love it.
This is what it is, Marcus, is I'm sitting there and I'm up way too early because my brain's wired so differently. So I'm up way too early on a Saturday and I'm watching some of the stuff streaming, and that's the song that pops up in the back of my head. Not like, hey, isn't there a song? No. What happens in my head is all of a sudden I just get a theme song. And it just happens.
That's what happened to me when I saw that.
And that's what I kept thinking of.
Back.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. When you talk about them, you know, and messing with us, what about us messing with them? Because remember, it was the Brits that came in originally and signed a deal for all the oil. And then when they didn't like it and tried to nationalize it, we then got big mad at them and changed over their government. And then they had a revolution in the 70s. And so in the 50s, we had a coup. In fact, it's the very first operation by the baby CIA. The first thing our CIA ever did, enact a coup in Iran. So shan't they be mad at us as well?
I don't know, because Lawrence of Arabia, that was a hell of a guy. No, this all started with England. But the thing is, now they became terrorists. And they went so far, we got to do something.
All right, Marcus Aurora, appreciate the call. When we come back, we'll get to your phone calls. Plus, there's an Iranian lawmaker down at the state capitol, Democrat socialist. How does she feel about all that's happening? We got her post. We'll talk about that and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. Got a free line. You can jump on it. This is where you're both sides. We're the Jeff and Bill Show.